And we are live, episode number 8 of the Young and Hungry FireCast with my homeboy, Jay _Azeltine.
What up? What up, Zach? Episode 8, man. I cannot believe I said this last week, but episode 8 weeks down now, and we're just rolling. We're having a blast with it. We're picking up steam. People seem to be loving it. We're loving it. So things are coming along. Things are coming together.
Dude, it is. We're like a train, man. It took a second to get moving. Now we're moving.
Positive momentum, right?
That positive momentum.
We talk about it all the time. And one of the things I'm sure you guys will notice with us, and this is what Zach and I talked about before the show started, before we decided to start the show, and this is something I really emphasized, was, dude, we can't miss a single week. Like, it has to be consistent every single Friday, and Zach and I have been talking about doing 2 a week, but if we cannot miss that single day that we put it out on Fridays, like, that is one of the biggest things, and consistency applies to a lot of different areas in life, but as in regards to the podcast, like, I think that's huge for us, is just every single Friday getting that out there, and people start to look forward to it and expect it to come out on a Friday, and that really helps build the momentum.
Absolutely, and you talk about it all the time, daily routine. So it actually becomes a part of our daily routine. Like, so if we miss one podcast, then people are like, oh shit, we lose all credibility. Yeah. So just think about this, guys, like, if you're just missing work when you're not actually sick, and they know that, you're kind of like ruining your credibility. There's so many different ways to ruin your credibility, and just for our instance, like, we can't miss a podcast or it's going to ruin our credibility. And at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to get as many people subscribed to our channel and subscribe to the Young and Hungry FireCast on iTunes, so we're not going to be fulfilling our dream of impacting the world. So,
and the routine, like you said, the routine's so key. Like yesterday, for example, I firsthand experience of how much if you don't follow your routine, how much your day can be different. At least for me, I'm very routine based, very schedule based. I didn't work out yesterday morning. I slept in. I was up at Ohio State. I hung out with some friends from college, and so I missed my morning workout. And the day just didn't go normally. Like, everything felt off, honestly. And honestly, I think it was because I didn't work out in the morning. Day was completely off. I trained in the afternoon. It was a shit workout because my body's so used to training in the morning. So the routines are so key to stay efficient and to stay on schedule.
Absolutely. Dude, I had the same issues whenever I sleep in. My one sleep in day a week, if I get it, my whole entire day. I feel like I wasted a day. If I even wake up like 8 or 9 o'clock, I'm like, fuck, my day's over.
It's almost counterproductive because, like, you beat yourself, at least myself, I beat myself up when I sleep in, so it's almost counterproductive. I get that extra sleep, but then I mentally wear myself down just by beating myself up for sleeping in. So
that's so funny how you said I'm the exact same way. I literally beat myself down. Like, I can't believe you're soft as fuck. And you wake up till 8 o'clock, you know. But usually I have like 5 hours of work in by then.
Yeah.
So, like, I just see how much I could have had done and I didn't have done. I was like, well, I do need this rest, you know, at this time, which we're actually going to get into sleep patterns and stuff a little bit. Talk about my man Granddaddy's question for us. But I know I've had a crazy last week. So I want to ask Jay, how was your last week? And then I'll touch on my week. I like to cover the ups and downs, you know, of going in our fitness industry and, you know, the entrepreneurial life that we're living. So I had a little bit of downs this last week. It's been cool to talk about to you guys.
Yeah, so past week was well. I'm still waiting to get the shirt design confirmed. The shirt place is pissing me off. I want to get them ordered ASAP so I can have them ready for Venice Beach, Muscle Beach shoot.
So what are you doing, like, to push on these guys? Because I deal with the same issue ordering my shirts.
Yeah, so I've been giving them some time. I think I'm going to reach out to them again today. I shot them an email earlier in the week to see, because they do straight up tell you 7 to 10 days for the art to be done, and then they'll send it to you to confirm. So they tell you that right off the bat, but there's no way it can take that long to actually do it. So I think I'm going to call them today and just kind of see if I can light a fire under them, because I need it done by Venice, because I have some marketing ideas and get some really cool pictures out there for the shirts and everybody wearing them and so forth. So I have some really cool ideas for it. I just have to have them.
That's a huge key, dude. Let's just rewind real quick on that, guys. He knows they've already told him it takes 7 to 10 days. Jay's still in their ear every single day. He wants it in 4 days. Persistence. That's how I got my gym. They told me, I need 2 or 3 weeks before we go and talk to the, you know, because it was being subleased. So we talked to the main lease person, this, that, and third, all these different loopholes we had to jump through. But I was on them every single day. I'm like, hey man, did you figure anything out? Hey man, did you figure anything out? I was always in their ear, so I was always just on their mind. That's huge.
Yeah, and if you don't ask, you're never going to find out. So, like, if I don't ask if they can make it faster or make things happen, then it's not going to happen at all. Like, there's 0% chance. If I ask them, then maybe there's a 50% chance that they rush it and get it done quicker. So
right, hell yeah.
Just actually asking. So that's been a little bit of a downer. I was hoping I'd have that earlier in the week. It's been 7 days today, so I'm going to call them today and see if they can get that over to me. Other than that, though, the house is continuing to progress. I starting to pick stuff out for my house. I'm getting really excited.
Dude, the house looks great, man. I seen it on Snapchat the other day.
It's starting to get real, bro. They put drywall in, and before the drywall, there's just studs in the wall, obviously. The 2x4 studs. So you can see through the whole house. There's no walls. The first day I went in there, and it hadn't been really real up until that point. I couldn't really fathom or conceptualize like the fact that it was my house. The first time that I went in there with the drywall was like, oh shit, it kind of got real. Like, this is actually my house. I'm going to be moving in here in 6 weeks.
I'm 22 years old and I have a house. That's huge, man.
Yeah, so I'm stoked about that. Training's going well. I've been trying to start to cut weight. We were 4 weeks out yesterday from Muscle Beach, the shoot there at Muscle Beach. So I'm trying to get the weight to move. It's not moving like I want it to yet. I'm leaning out, but the scale's up and down. I think it's just water weight, which is a key for most people. I think people really get they get down on themselves if the scale goes up one day. And honestly, your weight's going to fluctuate within like 1 to 2 to 3 pounds just because of sodium, and just your water weight's going to go up and down depending on how much water you drank the day before, how much you sweat the day before, again, how much sodium you took in. So my weight's been up and down. I can tell I'm starting to lean out more though, but I'm gonna make some more changes. I'm gonna cut out peanut butter for a few days to really get things moving, which absolutely kills.
Dude, is that a tear? I think I just seen Jay cry. Him and the cat were crying. Him and the cat.
If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know I love me some peanut butter. So I got to make the sacrifice, which we talk about all the time. I got to make a little bit of a sacrifice to get the weight moving. And with the process of leaning out, it's interesting because you got to go really hard off the bat to get everything moving. Like I've talked about before with the analogy of the train. It's hard to get the train moving. Same thing with the weight loss and metabolism. You gotta really be strict to get it moving. But then once it gets going, I can start to add food back in maybe in a week or two. Even though I'm a lot closer to the shoot, my metabolism will be running faster and I'll be leaner. So going hard at the beginning, staying really strict is really important when you're trying to lose weight, and then you kind of add stuff back in later on and be a little bit more lenient. So that's kind of a cool, interesting little fact about leaning out. Other than that, though, man, it was a good week. I had a pretty decent week. I'm going to try to be really productive today throughout the weekend. Not my most productive week. I know we talk about the ups and downs. For whatever reason, just mentally a little bit off this week. And it's all relative. I mean, compared to other people, my not productive may be a lot more productive than some people, so it's all relative.
I'm sure it is. I mean, you're building a house, running a couple businesses. I think you're still ahead of the game, Jay.
Yeah, so trying to stay on top of my shit, but overall, again, awesome week. We're getting closer to Muscle Beach, so I'm getting real excited. Other than that, it was fucking awesome. Zach, what you been up to, homie?
Dude, so I at the end of the day, I had a great last week. Everything was good for the most part. I got a lot of stuff done. We're getting ready to drop something coming up here soon. I think some people we've been getting a little bit of plugins lately, but Max Effort Muscle I'm involved in, so that's gonna be excited. I think we got like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. So it's coming. It's coming around the corner. I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to be involved. So that's positive. The gym's doing well. We're still picking up members at the gym. Online training, it's always there, always doing well. I got myself a new web guy. So the new web guy is now just crushing it. So my website's going to be ready. The ZachHomolPower.com website will be up and running in roughly 3 weeks. So I'm going to have all my programming on there, from power workouts, shred workouts, learn the lifts, open Q&A, vlogs. Basically anything you can think of is going to be on the website for a low cost of $9 a month. So I think I've iterated that before. That's like a Subway sandwich. That's nothing. So excited about that. I do believe at first I'm going to take a hit, though. I'm going to go backwards before I go forwards. Because every month I send out, I'm not even sure, between 30 and 50 flat rate packages that I have, which average around $98 a month. So that's not on top of my full packages, which is up to $170 a month. So I do know that $98, there's 30 to 50 people I'm getting residually every month. I'm going to lose them for $9 a month because we're going to go on the website and get that programming. So I'm not looking for instant gratification. I'm like, great, I'm making that money now, but I know I can impact a greater crowd if I have the website. So think about this. I'm willing to give up like 90% of my pay for looking for long-term gratification.
That's key.
So we covered that. We covered that, the instant gratification last week. So I'm willing to take a step backwards before I'm able to, before I take my 5 steps forward. Always willing to sacrifice. So that just rolls right into the last week. That's what I'm doing now. So let's go ahead and hit on a little bit of the downs. Unfortunately, I had to get rid of my intern, Joey. Sorry, throwing him out there in hat. But things just didn't work out, for us. He was a young guy. He didn't really understand the greater vision. I think we talk about it, and some people act like they understand the greater vision, but they just really don't. He couldn't really see past the internship. Most internships are non-paid anyways, but so I'm looking for ways like, hey, I know you're working very hard for us, so I'm trying to figure out ways to make him money through hustling. So something me and Jay did, we each paid him for videoing us for a day, right? And then I offered him for every member he signed up, he would get the sign-up fee. So I'm trying to figure out ways to make this kid money, but he just really didn't understand the whole entrepreneurial role, like basically how you make money without getting a paycheck kind of thing. And he was kind of like, you could tell he was high stressed on it. Like, if I quit my job, am I going to be able to make this work? I'm like, dude, you'll be able to make it work if you hustle. But at the end of the day, I can't teach you how to make money. I can guide you to the water, but I can't make the horse drink. Right?
And you guided him a lot too. I mean, just from the exposure I was there, I mean, you really were putting a lot into it. So
I felt for the kid. I really understood him. I understood him a lot, but like at the end of the day, he was just 18, which I'm not saying ages matters, but at the end of the day, a lot of people who are 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, even my age, feel like they're entitled. Like, he felt like he was worth more than what he was. And I knew he was good, and I knew his worth, but he thought he was almost like next level worth. And I'm like, dude, you've been working with me 2 or 3 weeks. You ain't proved shit.
Yeah.
So kind of how it all fell through is he was working for a different company, doing construction. He was working like 18 hours a day. And he's like, hey, man, I hope you realize that with the hard work I'm putting in. I'm like, I do realize you're putting hard work in for that company, but that's not making Zach Hummel, that's not making me no money. And that's really blunt, but I'm a blunt guy. At the end of the day, it's like, if we haven't filmed in a week, I see you're working hard there, but that ain't helping your internship, helping me none.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's like, I'm just a realist. I understand. And like, he kind of took it a little bit hard. When you're in business with people, you got to separate business and friendship. Like, this is business, bro. Like, look, when I say that, like, I'm here to, impact the world and make money through impacting the world. And I can't do that if you ain't videoing me. So I had to be blunt with him. He didn't like the way I took it. And basically, we just still everything's whatever it is, what it is. But we had to go our separate ways. So it's good that I picked it out now, early in the internship. So that's kind of why I'm looking for a new intern now. I'm still searching through. I've had like 15, 20 emails. I'm definitely going to get an intern. But I also have a professional, my buddy who did my pictures for the photo shoot, Jay, we did.
Shout out to Tyler.
Jay met Tyler. He's a freaking boss, dude. He's actually professional. So he's actually going to work on my videos for me. So I'm going to have like top-notch videos and video editing. So I'm super excited. So I kind of fell into shit and came out smelling like roses, because when I fell into this shit, I was like, oh my God, I'm screwed. What do I do? I just sat down. I looked at my situation. I said, how do I handle it? You know what I mean? So it was tough for me to kind of let Joey go, because I like to help people. I'm seeing his worth, and he was just a few days away from potentially changing his whole entire life. And it's sad. He got so close. I actually found a way to make him the same amount of money as what he was making at the restoration company he was working for. If he would have kept his mouth shut, guys, for one extra day, literally one day, he'd have been making the same amount of money, which is roughly $2,000 a month. I think he was making with me, because I found ways to make him money. All he had to do is capitalize, which couldn't have been too hard. All he had to do is capitalize. But he missed it by one day because he kind of let his ego and his entitlement get in the way. So Think about that. Like, really let that sink in. That he was working like 16 hours a day for his company. His whole entire life could have been changed. His whole life, forever, may have been changed if he wouldn't have felt entitled for one day. So it's just really let that sink in and think about this. Like, before I open my mouth, let me just look at the greater goal here. Let me look at the greater situation. Like, if I would have quit before I opened the gym, 1 week before I opened the gym when no one was calling me back and I couldn't find gym equipment, if I would have quit, I'd never been on his podcast right now.
You got to recognize the opportunity. He didn't recognize the opportunity and take advantage of it. I mean, he was just looking for the instant gratification. He didn't see the vision. It sounds like, and he, again, like we talked about before, the opportunity. You got to recognize the opportunity and then take advantage of it, like both of us have done so many times in our past. But I don't think everyone has the ability to recognize opportunities per se. So it's just kind of an innate ability. And then once you do recognize it, you have to go all in on it and just really apply.
Absolutely. And here's another way to look at it. Like, Joey's a hard worker. The kid works 16 to 18 hours a day and does restoration company. Like, they were calling him in and shit. So you can't take that away from him. He's a good worker. but he just might not be meant to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard workers out there, that don't.
Yes, that don't like, dude. For your dad, for instance, builds houses. Like your house, I feel like you just started your house last week, and your house is almost done. So obviously your dad's smart. He's a good worker, but he might. Well, I think he owns a company, so he isn't an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
His people who work for him, I'm sure you see a lot of guys who are hard workers who they couldn't do what we're doing. But
exactly.
That's fine. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, but you can still take life advice from this podcast and apply it to your job.
Boom.
So yeah, at the end of the day, Joey's a great kid. He did his job. He did good for when he was there. But it just didn't mesh. At the end of the day, I'm hard to work with. I'm not going to lie and say I'm an easy person to work with. I'm an actions guy. I think that's a fit so good with Corey and John and Dustin, the crew that we have for the Max Effort crew. We all are action guys. So it's just like we just get each other on a very high level. Like, Zach, you're responsible for this. I'm done. It's done. I do it. Corey, you got to do this. It's done. He did it.
Yeah, you don't have to babysit each other. I mean, you guys know that it's going to get done. Like, you know what I mean? There's no worry or maybe it's going to get done, maybe it's not. It's going to get fucking done.
So even if you're hiring an entrepreneur, but here's the thing, when you're looking into it, guys, if you're looking into hiring somebody, or like say you're at a level where you can hire an intern, think about this. Are you going to mesh well with this guy? Because he's your business partner. And Joey just wasn't a good business partner for me. Your business partners have to be on the same level as you, and you have to be willing to have hard conversations. Like, there's going to come a time when the podcast is blowing up and Jay and I are getting paid for having sponsors on here and stuff. Like, what do we do with the money now? We're kind of talking about this before the podcast. Oh, we can go ahead and take half and half and then go about it. Or we can make an account and put it towards our, we could put that money. If we take it in our pocket right now, it becomes a liability because we're probably going to spend it on something stupid. Or maybe we'll invest it into our other businesses. But how if we just create another business, we make a bank account for it, and we're going to put it into an asset column. Like, me and Jay's been talking a couple things to do further down the road for, like, because meditation's coming up real big. He's big on it. Possibly a meditation studio in Columbus or Indianapolis. So we're constantly thinking bigger. Let's go ahead and build an account. We'll let that bankroll for a few months, a year, whatever it is. Next thing you know, we have another business built on, because the podcast will then be a business. Then another business built on top of that, and that'll have my incomes like 9 or 10 incomes coming in. The floodgates. So that's how you got to think about it, though. It's constantly like, now that I made money here, let me not take it. I'll be able to live off roughly. I probably live off fucking $8 to $10 an hour right now, because I just keep putting my money everywhere else, right? But I know I'm not looking for instant gratification there. Like, I could be buying new clothes every week and driving a nice ass car, but I'm not. I'm looking for down the road. I don't care about buying a used BMW, right, for $20,000. I'm buying the Rolls for $200,000. I'm looking 10 years down the road.
Yeah, we talked about that with the shirt company last week. I mean, I'm going to have money coming in, but if I'm smart with it, I'm going to reinvest it and continue to grow the brand. That's the same thing with us, man. Like, once we get to that point, deciding what we're going to do with it and likely put it into a bank account, and then down the road, when, again, I've talked about this before, opportunities will arise. There'll be opportunities to invest the money somewhere. And when that time comes, we'll have the money ready to invest, whether it's with someone we know or it's an investment that we come upon ourselves. There's going to be opportunities to invest the money. We just got to be ready for it. And we will be ready for it if we decide to put it in the bank together instead of each taking half and half. And who knows what the fuck will happen with it after that.
Yeah, who knows? I'm sure. I mean, we're both smart enough, I think, to apply it towards our businesses now. But it's like we could have created another business and look about all that money that we possibly left on the table.
Yeah.
And something to talk about real quick, just like I want to hit on it for 1 second, as a startup business, because I've obviously had, like, this is my fourth or fifth I'm involved in now with Max Ever Muscle, the gym, online coaching, the website, the one-on-one coaching at the gym. I kind of keep all my income spread, like, separate, like the gym's the gym, the online's the online, everything's separate. So I'm been involved in it as the number one CEO that I'm a part of, Max Ever Muscle startup, and the startup is a grind. So stop thinking you're going into business. I put this on my Snapchat the other day. Stop thinking you're going into business to work less and for other people to work for you. That's a huge, huge fucking knowledge bomb for you guys. When you're going in business, you got to be thinking it's time to triple down. I got to work 10 times harder now than I ever have in my life for this to work. So just get it out, get the romance out of your head. Everyone's thinking, oh, I do this. Like, when I do the numbers before I open the gym, I'm like, dude, I have the potential to make all this fucking, holy cow, all this money. And guess what I did? I said, there's my goal. The romance is gone. How am I going to survive? That's what it comes down to. How can I cut as much fucking cost in my home life, right? Not going out to eat so much, maybe not going on 2 or 3 vacations a year. How can I cut all that out to put more into my business. People don't quit cutting costs on your business. That's like another way too. Once you get that money, Jay, like something I'm doing now is I'm giving out, I'm doing like Man Shit Mondays. I'm really starting to hammer on it now. Here the next week will be for my IV Elite Instagram page. I want to grow it, right? My apparel line. So I'll be giving out free shirts. So giving back to you guys, the customer. That's also huge. That's another way to use your profits is to give back to the community.
Yeah,
make more money in the
key.
future.
Giving out free, just like we have a social media standpoint, whether you're giving out actual physical apparel or physical products, or you're giving out actual workouts or ideas and so forth, and knowledge.
Yeah, content.
Giving out stuff is key.
Your Snapchat's blowing up. We're actually talking about social media guys next week. We'll get into that a little bit later. But your social media is blowing up because you're giving out programs, you're giving out workouts. I'm doing the same thing right now on Snapchat this next month while I prep for the shoot. But we're just watching our Snapchats, our social media grow because we're giving quality content.
Quality is definitely key. That's part of it. But going back to the startup stuff, anyone can live off less money than they currently do for the most part. I mean, there's always ways to cut costs in your personal life. So you got to be self-aware to know if you do need to make those cuts and then apply that to your business. So there's always a way to make cuts and be able to apply more money to what you're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Or, dude, how about Peter? Remember Peter? He asked a question on the podcast. So I'm like, maybe you should find it. Like, obviously, I just know Peter. Like, I know I have training stuff, so I talk to him often. And I just knew he's gonna have a hard time saving money. He just didn't seem like that type of guy. So I told him to get another income. Right? That's what we said. The dude now is doing some eBay sales shit. Every time I see him, he's sending a package out on eBay.
Oh, he's balling.
Killing it. He's killing it. Like, dude, what we're saying, it's real. It's really, really real. It's really fucking real.
There's always a way to make money. There's always a way to cut costs in your life, and there's always a way to make more money too. So it goes both ways. So
stop asking yourself, oh my gosh, I ain't got no money. What do I do? And start saying, I got no money. How do I make money? What's another way I can make money? Because when you say it in your mind that way, when you say I'm broke, you just stop thinking. When you say you're broke, you're just waiting for your next paycheck. I want you guys to start saying, I have no money. How can I make money? And to start jotting things down on paper. Just let your hand go. And next thing you know, you're going to say, oh shit, I might be able to make I may make $20 here, $20 here. That adds up a month. Oh, I just made an extra $500 this month. Holy shit. Just by opening your mind, being open-minded to the fact that you still can make money through different rabbit holes, different avenues.
Just putting the pen to paper, your mind you just get so creative, it seems like.
100%.
Shit just starts rolling.
Let's talk about some current events going on in the world. First thing, who's faster, Usain Bolt or the fastest cheetah in the world?
Fuck, man. How is it even possible that dude is so much faster? Like, I just saw a picture. This is what sparked the me putting it on the list here for current topics. I saw a picture on Instagram of his 200-meter final race last night. I think it was finals. And he was legit, like, it looked like 10 meters ahead of everyone else at the finish line. How is that even possible that you could be that much faster than anyone else living on the whole fucking planet?
You got the fastest of the fastest, the best of the best athletes.
Yeah.
And this guy's making them look like high school athletes.
Oh yeah, he'll just like look back and kind of joke around with them during the race.
Unbelievable. I think he's good in another 4 years, man. I mean, this is fast he is. Like, I think they said he lost a couple of steps because he set that record 2012 for the 100. But still, even now when he's running the 100, he's just galloping past people, man. His finish is what really sets him apart. He just finishes so much faster than everyone else. They're talking about from his start to finish, he gets like faster as he goes, where everyone else slows down.
Oh yeah, he definitely starts a lot slower than most people, and then it's just like a quarter of the way, halfway through the race, he just takes off, and it's not even comparable. It's unreal.
It looks like his motion. It looks like he's legit galloping. It's crazy.
His stride's ridiculous. So I think it's what exactly makes him great. I think it's a combination of he's obviously got ridiculous genetics. He's got the height over a lot of people, but obviously the hard work that goes into it as well can't be understated. I mean, you got to have the genetics. That's part of it. But then he goes the extra mile and puts the work in, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure that their training is on top. I'm sure it's top of the line. I'm sure they're very efficient with what they do. Everything's programmed out and structured. But it takes the genetics too, of course, as well.
Absolutely. And he has another dude that runs from Jamaica too. He's super fast.
He's like second or third in the world.
Yeah. So they're competing against each other. So he has great competition. That's another thing to think about, guys. If you're at a gym right now and you're the strongest guy, you need to find a new gym. You need that competition. That's something I consistently search for is finding competition. I like to compete on a daily basis with somebody. Even though I compete with myself, whenever there's days you go in there, I know you do, Jay. Everyone in the world does. They go in there some days and they just they're doing their seated rows and they know they could use 60 pounds more, but they're kind of just going through the motions that day. When you have someone there to compete against, that's going to help raise the bar. So you should always be competing against yourself, but it's good to have someone there to keep you in check because everyone in the world has good and bad days.
It makes a huge difference when you have a training partner that's on your level or above you. I mean, it really does make a world of difference when you have someone to compete against. And I know Corey, his crew's been into something lately where they do like every Wednesday, it's all competition sets. So on literally everything,
they're going.
Yeah, it's who can get the most reps with. I'm sure their weight's relative to what their strength is, but it's still like who can get the most reps with this weight and so forth. And that's something I want to start programming more. And again, it comes down to having really good training partners, and that's a constant, lifelong search of finding consistent
guys.
Training partners.
We talked about like episode 1. Like, you mean to tell me you can't find a training partner? Like, it's so hard to find a consistent, good training partner to fit your schedule. I'd say my favorite training partner ever is definitely my best buddy Kurt. He's a 135 pound, so he competes at 132. And the dude squats and deadlifts over 500 pounds. So you can just tell his work ethic's like up to par. And it doesn't have to be someone as strong as me, but they have to be able to push me.
Yeah, that's
I like
key.
that. Like, I can push myself, but I know other people around. It adds to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to the next one. Ryan, what's his last name? Lochte, the USA swimmer who's a liar. is that what's going on? Like,
yeah. So I'm sure a lot of the people that listen have heard of the story here, and I don't know all the details. Again, I don't really pay attention to the news or any of that kind of current stuff. I just hear glimpses.
That's so funny.
Of it.
We put these topics down. I'm like, Jay, how do you even know about this?
I just hear glimpses. I just hear glimpses of it, mainly on podcasts. I think honestly, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and they seem to always touch on it. But yeah, so dude apparently acted like he got robbed at gunpoint at like 4 a.m. Him and his homies, a couple of their swimmers, and they made up some really weird story, and it seemed fishy at first, and then people started looking into it. I mean, there's thousands of reporters there from across the country, and when news broke on this, people started to look into it more because again, it seemed kind of fishy, and now there's the lie is starting to unravel. Essentially, things don't seem to add up. And now it seems like they were trying to hide something. So this kind of ties in with the whole idea of just being up front if you fucked up or if you made a mistake, being up front and just kind of manning up to it instead of trying to lie and cover it up, because eventually the lie is going to unravel and it's going to end up being
twice as worse.
Yeah, it's going to. This story is basically overshadowing everything else in the Olympics that's going on, and it's only because they lied and tried to cover something up. Who knows what they're trying to cover up? But eventually, it's going to be uncovered and people are going to know what really happened. And if they would have just been upfront about it and been straight up right off the get-go, the story I don't think would have been nearly as big as it is now. Now it's a fucking national embarrassment. I mean, everyone's covering it. All the reporters there are digging into it. So it's a lot bigger than it should have been.
Yeah, dude, just own it. Dude, it's so much more admirable when a man or a woman, whatever, but I'm just a man, so I say man, just admits they're wrong. Like, I have great ideas all the time. And I have stupid ideas. And if I bring a stupid topic to Jay to cover, and he tells me, that's stupid, Zach, I'd be like, okay. I think into it. Yeah, you're right. That is a dumb idea. I'm not going to argue with him or like try to like, oh, I said it because of this, that, third. Like, I remember the other day I had a stupid ass idea. And someone's like, dude, that's retarded. And I'm like, but I just get so caught up in my shit. I'm like, yeah, do this. And but I admit when I'm wrong. When I get in an argument with my girlfriend, the biggest thing is like, hey, I could have done this differently. Just owning it. Being very self-aware. And it comes to being self-aware. This guy might not be just self-aware. He's just, who knows? Who knows the situation? I'm not living in his brain, but I would hate to be him right now.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Like I said, national embarrassment. So moving on to the UFC.
Tomorrow.
Dude, stoked. I am hyped. So obviously the headliner is Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. Conor's one of the biggest stars to ever step foot in the octagon. I mean, he's absolutely massive. He's transcended into like actual mainstream popularity now. Yeah, he's a global figure now, and it's interesting to see how he kind of goes about his business and kind of carries himself. I mean, dude has so much confidence, and the way he speaks is just, I mean, who wouldn't want to, you know what I mean? Who wouldn't want to replicate that? I mean, he's having all this success, but he's got the confidence in the way he speaks, the way he walks, and just the way
his
he carries
demeanor,
himself.
man.
Yeah.
It's just like it's no wonder he was knocking these guys out. Just his demeanor, his confidence. You can tell his training. Everything he's doing and done up to this point, wherever Nate beat him, was just super admirable in a sense. He talked shit, but he backed it up. And just to back up for a second, Conor's self-aware. When Nate beat him, he goes, I fought the bigger man, I wasn't efficient, and I got beat. He didn't make no excuse. He talked all that shit, and he gave Nate the credit. Like, Nate beat me. I wasn't efficient. I fought the bigger man, and I lost. He owned it. That's a true champion. And I think that's why I like him so much. I think that's why I like Conor so much. Is like, he's a true champion. He admitted when he was wrong. He didn't try to come up with those stupid stories. Like, I took a fight with a bigger man, I lost.
Yeah, he was very respectable how he went about his business when he lost. I mean,
yeah, that's a true champion.
Yeah, that was very, very, because people were very curious as to how he would react after that loss, because I mean, he talks so much shit, more than anyone I've ever seen, and just such a confident dude.
He's so good at talking shit.
It really didn't seem to faze him. I mean, he just continued to go about his business and stepped up his game, and we'll see what happens with this fight. I mean, if he wins, then it's going to continue to go on just like it is. But if he loses, then it'll be very interesting, again, to see kind of how he reacts and how he continues to go about his business. But something that he said this past week, I was watching a video on him. I've been balls deep in some UFC content leading up to the fights. I've been on YouTube watching that shit. It's been getting me hyped.
Yeah, so have I, dude. It really they do a great job with their marketing, man. It sucks.
Oh, yeah. Their production's ridiculous.
Yeah, they do really good.
So something he said was, after that last fight, the camps leading into the previous fights that he had, they were kind of lackadaisical. He didn't really have any structure. It was just kind of like, we'll go train whenever, I'll eat whenever, all this stuff. Because he was just rolling dudes. I mean, he was just knocking dudes out with one punch. So he didn't seem to think that he really had to change things. And then after the Nate fight, he took a step back, and he's like, man, I need to kind of change things up. Obviously, it didn't work going into this fight, so I'm gonna make a few small changes. So he really structured everything. He said that structure's been the key to this camp, and he thinks that's really a major ingredient in success in general. He says all the top people in whatever field, the people at the top of their game, have very structured lives. And he said now everything he does is structured. So the time that he trains is set every single day. The times that he eats, it's all set. So everything is very structured, and that allows him to be very efficient with his time and very effective. And I mean, just in my experience, in my daily life, when I have structure set up, at least in the morning and the night, it makes a huge difference, a world of difference. I mean, I'm so much more efficient when I know exactly what I need to be doing.
I agree 100% with the structure, man. Like, just of recent, like, I'm talking to Jay, we were talking before the podcast about coming out with like a content schedule, because I'll be posting a lot. So I'm posting with Max Effort Muscle. I'm posting for my apparel line, my gym. I'm posting Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Thinking about picking up a little bit on Instagram story. I'm kind of seeing what it's going to do. Then I'm posting my website. So I'm about to be dropping crazy content, like content galore. So how do I do this? I think anytime you're providing good content, you're not spamming. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to blow people's feeds up. It has to be strategic. How I do it has to come with a solid structure. So not only is my whole entire day structured, but clear to my social media is structured. Like, everything needs to be, even though I live in chaos, like, I just like whenever shit's just like, what the fuck am I going to do next? And I thrive off that. I'm better with the chaos. Even though that's how I live, I still have it's like controlled chaos. It's structured chaos.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I go back and forth. Like, sometimes I really like the chaos, and other times I need a set schedule. I really thrive off having a set schedule and knowing what I'm going to do every day. And
so look, there's a difference. Like, you can still be successful having a set schedule, mm-hmm. or living in chaos like me. Like, however you do it, you can still be successful. It's about being self-aware, identifying your weaknesses, and then making sure you're doing what it takes. Like Jay, like, if I lived like that every single day, I wouldn't get shit done. But if I did exactly what Jay did every day, I wouldn't get shit done. So It's like, we're self-aware. I'm not trying to be him. He's not trying to be me.
Yeah, and nothing's black and white either. Like I just said, like, sometimes, depending on the situation, I like the chaos. And with my social media, I don't really have a set schedule. I just have an idea in my head exactly what I need to post this week, and I eventually will post everything and so forth. But then other times I really like having the set schedule and the set routines. Like, for me in the mornings, if, again, like I talked about earlier, I have to wake up at a certain time, train, come home, do my routine. So it's like, it's not black and white, and the same thing with anything in life. Nothing's black and white. You can cross over between many different areas, and just in respect to this, I mean, again, sometimes I like chaos, sometimes I like routine. So nothing, again, is black and white. You can't have that black and white mindset.
I dig it, man. It's kind of like shooting on the fly, shoot from the hip kind of thing. Whatever that day, however you're feeling that day, that's what you do. That's why when I train too, I train max effort daily. It's not that I'm going for a 1-rep max, but I'm doing the best I can for that day.
Yeah, and you got to be self-aware to know what you're able to do that day too.
That day, right? How much sleep did I get? So that's a whole different topic. Super pumped though about the fights. My man Cody Garbrandt. So I know Cody a little bit from amateur boxing. He was from Youngstown. He was in a couple cards I was on as I was growing up as an amateur boxer. Also met him at a college party and at local college back where I'm from. So know him very, not like, I guess I wouldn't say I'm best friends with him, but I do know him and he's a super cool guy. So I'm just a huge fan, always rooting for him, hoping for the best. So super excited to watch him fight. And dude, Cody's on the come up. This guy's knocking guys out left and right. He's knocking everybody out. So it's super cool to see. Good looking guy, but he's covered in tattoos. So he has that good boy, bad boy, but super genuine. He has a friend, a young kid that he's mentoring who had cancer, so it's just super cool everything. Like he's just such a cool dude, and just to see like how his life's unfolding, and he keeps it real. Like whenever people talk to him, he's like, "I'm the hardest hitter in the division, and I'm gonna knock everybody out." He beats this guy, this Japanese dude he's fighting, or whatever he is, Chinese dude he's fighting. He then fights for Dominic Cruz. They're supposed to set the title shot up. Cody branded himself to get that title shot. He's wearing the suits to the weigh-ins. He's saying what he has to say. He's been calling out Dominic Cruz since he got in the UFC.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the champion. I'm knocking everybody out, and then I'm going to knock Dominic Cruz out. He literally has been calling his shots. He kind of did what Conor did in a way, but he's smart. Cody's smart. He branded himself well. And on top of it, he deserves. He's a man of God. He's very genuine. He's helping people out. He helps the community. He's always signing autographs and stuff. So what better guy to have as a champion who's a bad boy, badass, who also gives back to the community and mentoring a kid who has, cancer. It's just such a cool scenario and situation. I'm so excited for him.
Yeah, it's cool to see, man. And he's definitely replicating a little bit what Conor has done. I mean, obviously, the proof's in the pudding. What Conor did worked. I mean, he's a loudmouth. He dresses well. He's got the fashion. He's got the talk. Everything. So he's kind of trying to replicate that, it seems like. And if he continues to fight like he's fighting, he's already got everything out of the octagon going the right way with how he's dressing, with how he's speaking, his confidence, how he looks. I mean, he's already got the looks. He's a good looking dude with the tats and stuff. So as long as he continues to knock motherfuckers out, he's going to move straight up to the top just like Conor did. And he sees the vision. He knows, I'm sure he has this vision for where he's going. And if he knocks this dude out and then goes and fights Dominic and beats Dominic, oh, dude, I mean, he's one of the top 3 dudes in the UFC then at that point from like a marketability standpoint and just like an exposure standpoint. And he's one of those guys that can really cross over as well. And he could be a mainstream famous dude. So I'm sure he has that vision and knows
you can tell he's going to be, man. He beats this guy. Him and Dominic Cruz's fight will be huge because Cody knows how to talk. Cody's not afraid to sit back and, oh yeah, we'll see what happens. Cody's like, I'm going to fucking knock him out. And dude, when you're talking about the fight game, that's why I really didn't like myself too much when I was amateur boxing, because I had a hard time turning that switch off because I had that ego, like, I'm going to fucking win. I'm going to knock you out. I trained harder than you. And I still have it a little bit now. I still talk a little bit like it, but it's just like it was almost a solid. Was I really cocky? Yeah, probably, because that's kind of how you got to be in the fight game. You can't be like, yeah, we'll see. I like to go in there and say, fuck you. Like, this is a fight. Let's go. So that's why I have so much respect for fighters, because most of them talk that shit, and a lot of them back it up. So
I love it. All right, let's move into some topics here. All right, so one topic that I've been kind of pondering and thinking about this morning is letting your current state define you. So I was trying to figure out how exactly.
We are really challenging ourselves with these topics. Dude, Jay came in clutch this week with these topics. We've been excited about them.
I came prepared. So I've been trying to figure out how I really want to conceptualize this and get it into words. It's one of those topics where you have a ton of thoughts, and it's kind of hard to really produce those topics or those ideas into actual words and actual sentences that people can understand. You know what I mean? It's a pretty deep topic, and really what I'm just trying to get at though is people really define themselves by the current situation that they're in. And I do this myself as well, and that's kind of why I want to talk about it. Is if you're in a bad state of mind, whether it's financially, mentally, or physically, you may begin to really think that that's who you are as a person, and that's how you're always going to be. But that's not how it is at all. I mean, you have the opportunity, and it's up to you to really change your current state. So again, I think people get into this state of mind where they're like, well, this is how I am right now. This is how I'll always be. And again, that could be financially, mentally, physically, whatever it may be. So I think just really stepping back and having the perspective to know that things can change. You got to put the work in to make things change, but things can always change and get better. And then also on the opposite side of the spectrum, if things are going really well, knowing that's not how things will always be if you don't continue to put the work in. So it keeps you hungry. You can never get comfortable. There's always people out there that want to be in the position that you're in. They want to take everything that you have. So you can't get comfortable when things are well. But I think it more so pertains to when you're in a bad place in life, just knowing that things can change and get better. And that's not what defines you. That isn't who you are as a person. That's just where you're currently at in life. You know what I mean?
Dude, this is a deep topic for sure, and I can very well relate to it. We kind of talked a little bit about before the podcast, like, we're not exactly where you want to, we want to be, and this, that, and third. But I remember when I was a coal miner, I started out as it was called a contractor. So I was working underground when I first started for like $10 an hour, which is crazy, right? To think that I risked my life every day for $10 an hour. But I knew like mostly contractors were guys who were either trying to get in a coal mine, or they were guys who had like DUIs, or because the coal mine's they're a lot harder to get into than people think they are, because it's such a great job from the area I'm from. So being this contractor, usually had guys who like went to jail for selling drugs, and then they just couldn't get hired on, so that's where they worked. They worked as a contractor forever, or guys with DUIs and just couldn't get on with the main company. But I wasn't that guy. But I was perceived and looked at as that guy. Like especially I had tattoos and shit. I looked like a bad boy kind of thing. Like I couldn't get hired on because of my current state, I guess, and my physical appearance. It looked like I was kind of like, I guess, in their eyes, the guys who were working for the company, a scrub. You know what I mean? So as I'm going about every single day, I'm thinking like, man, am I one of these guys? Like I got along with those guys, so I get along with everybody. You know what I mean? But I'm like, am I this guy? Will I never be able to get hired onto the company, this, that, and third? So it was hard for me to keep that focus, because at the time, all I cared about was getting hired onto a company. I wasn't thinking about being an entrepreneur. At that time, I was thinking like, man, I want to get hired on that company and make $30 an hour. But I kept grinding every single day, and 6 months later, I got hired on with the company, making like $29 an hour. So I just didn't put myself in that category. I think everyone's created equal, but our actions define if a man is really equal to the next man. I think I'm equal to everybody, but my actions make me extraordinary.
Yeah, for sure. And this topic really applies to everything. For example, like in the gym, your training is always going to go up and down. There's going to be ups and downs in everything in life, but just in pertaining to fitness, I mean, you're going to have ups and downs in your training. So you may have a bad week, but don't allow that to define you. You know what I mean? And you in your fitness career, like you can't just define the past week as who you are. So maybe you did have a bad past week, but you got to have the short-term memory, which short-term memory really plays into this, to know that next week I'm going to get right back to it and just continue to push through this plateau or whatever I'm in right now, you know?
For sure. Yeah, I can totally get that, especially when I'm cutting weight for these last two shoots. I'm cutting weight. I started now and be a lot more leaner for this shoot than I was the last one. And my lifts, I'm just expecting, like, I don't expect to pull over 700 pounds the next 2 months, because my training will take a hit, losing so much weight and losing water weight, this, that, and third. So I don't let that define me. I don't let that get in my head. Like, I haven't squatted over 635. I haven't squatted 700 this year. I squatted like 700 like 15 times last year. I know I can squat 700. I was going to do it through a training cycle, 4 weeks. I'll be able to squat it, but I don't let it get to me, knowing I've only worked up to 635, and they've been hard squats. But I don't let it get to me. It's short-term memory. I know I'm going to squat 700. I know my worth. So it's kind of on a book I read. I'm sure you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. One of the dads talks about he had lost all his money, and everyone said he was poor. He goes, I'm not poor. I'm just broke. I'm not a poor person. And
currently broke.
He didn't define himself as a poor person. So he knew that the money was coming. He was doing the right, if you're a poor person, say you lose all your money and you don't do nothing, you sit on your couch and watch TV, you're poor. But if you lose all your money and then you're fighting to get it back, you're just broke. You're temporarily broke, because it's going to come back. Exactly.
Everything, mentality is so key in so many different areas. It affects everything, man. Having a positive mentality and so forth is so key. Another thing that really plays into this topic is momentum. It's so key. I'm a very momentum-based person, and I think it really affects everyone, some people more than others. But if you have a ton of positive momentum going, then things in your life are going to be going really well. If you have a ton of negative momentum, then you might feel like you're in a really shitty place in life. So it's all about if you do have a ton of negative momentum build up, it's just taking that first step towards building up the positive momentum. And then once you get the momentum starting to go your way, doubling down, tripling down, like 10xing down on what's working to really get that shit moving. Because once it does get moving, everything in your life seems to go in a good, positive manner, in a positive way. So the momentum's key. You just got to be very self-aware with what kind of momentum you currently have, because you either have negative or positive momentum. in all areas of your life. I mean, you could have positive momentum in one area of your life and negative in the other, but just really being self-aware of where you're at and just trying to build up as much positive momentum as possible, because that's going to really help you help carry you just through your life and to where you want to be.
Absolutely. When I'm mentoring people, I like to tell them, just do the next thing right. Because we're all going to fuck up. It's only a matter of time. I fuck up. Everyone fucks up. But do the next thing right. So you're always thinking, I got to do the next thing right.
Exactly. And people, this kind of plays in with that as well. As people get caught up with what happened the last week or whatever, and then that kind of enables them to make the correct next step. Like whatever happened in the past doesn't fucking matter now. It's like whatever next step you take, that's what matters. You know what I mean? Like you could have done absolutely nothing the past few months, few years. You could have been absolute bum. But if you take the correct steps now, going forward, that's what defines you. I guess that brings it all full circle. That's a really good way to put it, is like, don't let the past define you and what's been going on in the past. It's all about what you do right now and in the future. So take the correct step now, and don't let whatever has been going on really bring you down. You just got to be able to start fresh and have that short-term memory to really, because again, all that matters is what you do from today on, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always talk about this too. I like to see people live for the day. When I say live for the day, I'm not talking about go crazy, live for the day. But truly, you're only as good as you are that day. Because today is going to define, my actions today defines who I am tomorrow. So I have to apply good actions, be a good person, and live the best way and live my life out the most I can today, which is going to decide who I am tomorrow. So if you're going about your daily business and you're like, you know what, I'm going to start working out on Monday. You're never going to, I mean, even if you do, it's not going to last, because you already got to tell yourself, you don't have the fucking mental fortitude to even train today. So you think you're going to be able to, when you start Monday, you're going to be able to do it forever? Probably not. The best way to do it is by starting today.
And you're going to feel so much better about yourself too, man. As soon as you take that first, it's honestly absolutely insane. Because when I go through phases where I had negative momentum in the small scale and in the large scale. And it's crazy, man. When you take that first step, you have no idea how much that's going to impact you and how much momentum you could build up just by taking that first fucking step. But it seems like in the moment, while you're defining yourself in a negative way and you're down on yourself, it's like, nothing's going to help me. I'm not going to be able to get out of this negative mindset. But then you take that one step, and whether it's going to the gym or reading a book or whatever the fuck it is, that one step makes such a difference. It's crazy, man. And I experience this myself all the time. It's like, I'm down on myself at times, and then I go and do something to where I know I need to be doing something or whatever. And I take that one step, and then everything's good again. I got the momentum back. But when you got that negative momentum, it seems like the world's coming crashing down on you. So you just got it one foot in front of the other, take that fucking step, and then just let it unravel. Things are going to work themselves out. You just got to make that step. And man, that was a rabbit hole. I wanted to touch on something.
Dude, that was great, though. And that was awesome that you covered that, Jay, because you kind of hit on that before about the online training. That's actually, I'm not sure what your best income is right now, or your most income.
Oh, the training for sure. Yeah, it's definitely number one.
And just a few months ago, you were like, I'm gonna wait. Like, you were probably gonna wait till right now.
Yeah.
But you made the move, and look at, you're balling out now. And look, but not only are you balling out financially, but look how many people. Like, I watch me and Jake talk a lot about our clients. So we're like, he'll send me videos or pictures or whatever of his, the transformations, what people were telling him and stuff. So humbling to know as a trainer. I've actually, not only have I, helped you out or whatever, been a part of your journey, Jay's legit changing people's lives. I'm legit changing people's lives. And that is just, and I'm not saying it's because look at me, I am, because people are actually telling me I am. And people are telling Jay this. This is the most humbling. Money cannot add up to that feeling you get.
It's a surreal feeling.
The money's just like, this for me to just give me money so I can survive kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to actually be able to impact someone else's life, because that's a positive person now. They're going to impact someone else. It's the pay it forward thing, and they impact somebody else. That's how you start to change the world. So
it's a domino effect, man. Like, and like we talk about all the time, it's so surreal, the emails we get, and it's the feedback from the podcast even. We knew that the podcast, we knew we had the chops for it, we knew we were good, and we knew the podcast was going to be successful, but even on a daily basis now, we're only 8 weeks into it. It's crazy when we get Snapchats, Twitter, or tweets, and so forth about how the podcast.
I get coach shows by some of the stuff that people are saying.
Me too, right now, bro. Just talking about it. It's honestly, it's crazy. It's very surreal when people reach out to us and we know that we're actually affecting people on a daily basis through the podcast, through our training, through our social media, and it's very very humbling. I mean, it's one of the best I mean, obviously I'm in this for the money too. And the money, I think, comes when you're helping people and you're putting out quality stuff, the money's going to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, for sure. Since we're already in this fucking rabbit hole, I'm gonna keep on digging it. Some guy asked me, a lot of like, because I am a man of God, and I'm not the guy who attends church every single weekend, but everything I do, I try to live the right way. I try to live the way I feel like I'm supposed to live, and I try to give back. So he asked me, he goes, Zach, since you're, a man of God and whatever, you're a Christian, do you think you should still be, like, he said a question like about making money and something, because one of his Christian buddies said something about it. I'm like, dude, how I look at making money is the first way I look at it is, if I'm impacting other people and I'm doing it in a positive manner, it shouldn't matter how much money I make, whatever it is. I think I'm living my life purpose. This is why I'm here. I think God, put us all here for a reason. Everyone's here for a specific reason. It's our job. It's free will to decide why we're here and to really capitalize on it. And it's not, whenever you realize what you're here for, he's not going to let it be easy for you. Oh, yeah, you're here to be a basketball player, but you ain't going to practice. You're going to have to practice. You have to work your ass off, right? So it's like, once you figure out what you're here for, it's your job to fulfill what you're supposed to be. And if you're supposed to make money doing it, you will. But if he intends for you not to make money, but just impact, then that's what you're going to do. So that's kind of the way I look at it, man.
I
so
like that topic.
If I never become a millionaire, that's my goal, right? I want to be a freaking billionaire, right? That's what I make all the money, because I know once I make that money, I'm just going to create opportunity and make jobs for people, for more people to enjoy their lives and have cooler jobs and give back to the community and stuff. But if I never do, and I just make average money forever, but if I've impacted 5 billion people in the world, I'm dying happy. That's huge. That's huge. That's really just going to show, like, that's really what I mean by everything. If I'm not supposed to become a millionaire, if his plans for me not to be a millionaire, I have to impact people in a different way, then that's what it's going to be. And I'm going to die happy.
Interesting. I really like that topic, because I'm not a religious person and never really have been. But it's interesting how the principles, they really do kind of cross over. Like, I have a lot of the same principles, and I live by a lot of the same standards as you do. So it's very interesting. I mean, just the whole religion things. I hate the only time that I can't stand religion is when people try to push it on you. I would never try to push, you know what I mean? I would never try to push my views on someone, so I don't expect someone that's religious to push their views. And you don't ever push. I mean, I've never seen you push your views on anyone, and I love that. I can respect the heck out of that. And I really, really like that. But it's interesting, though, because a lot of the principles and the way that I live, even though I'm not religious and you are, they really kind of cross over, and we live very similarly.
Yeah, it's kind of like a contradiction, because you're supposed to spread the word of God and this, that, and third. But it's just like I spread it. So instead of saying, hey, you should believe in God, you should go to church on Sunday, that's how they spread the word of God. I spread it through actions and positivity and let them find it on their own. I'm not physically saying read the Bible. What I'm saying is, I've done this through this. This is how I'm doing what I'm doing. You choose your next step.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I subconsciously, on a backwards way, push it.
I like it.
That's my way.
I like it. I like it. All right. So let's see here. All right. Let's go into the no bitch assness tip of the shit.
From Jesus to no bitch assness. Let's do it.
Love it. All right, Zach. Okay, I'll go first. All right. Let's see here. So this isn't a very like tactical. Like last week, I think I talked about building the upper chest. Maybe this is a little bit more vague in general, but I think it really applies though. So consistency is key. This applies not only to fitness, obviously, but also to life in general. I've talked about the compound effect a few times on here, and if you haven't read the book, a lot of people are asking me about book recommendations all the time. The compound effect is a really good one, and he just talks about how it's the small things that you do on a daily basis every single day that are going to add up and compound to basically lead you to success. It's not the big things that you do from time to time, and this applies to the gym. So for me, for example, I've been training almost every single day for the last 6 years. Very rarely do I miss more than a day or two. I think I missed a week when I had mono at one point. I was fucked up too. Believe me, I tried to go to the gym, and I think I had it was pneumonia or something I missed a week before as well. And that was the past 6 years. Other than that, it's just no more than like 2 days in a row, even on vacation. So the biggest thing that I'm trying to get at here is that consistency is so key also in the gym. Like, you don't have to do anything crazy. It's not about the crazy workouts you do from time to time. Like yesterday or 2 days ago, I posted a crazy arm workout. It's not about doing those crazy workouts really necessarily. It's more so about just showing up every single day and putting in the time. For me, for example, again, I've been in the gym almost every day for the last six years, and I attribute where my physique's at right now to that. Not the crazy workouts I've done, and not all the crazy bullshit. It's just every day putting the time in, and I think that is what really separates you from the pack, separates your physique, separates you as a person in the gym. So just going in every single day, putting the work in, and even if, like we talked about earlier, your training's going to have ups and downs. So you're going to have days where your training's not the best. But as long as you go in and put the work in and put the time in, you deposited another coin into the bank. I like to think of that as a really good analogy for it.
I like that analogy. Put another coin in the bank. It takes time.
Exactly,
I didn't fucking wake up yesterday, guys, and squat 700. This has been 11 fucking years.
Oh, you did? You didn't? Really? People ask all the time, like, how do I
put a key in the bank, or put a coin in the bank?
Yeah, like that, think of that that makes it easier. Every day you go in the gym, you're depositing a coin, and eventually the piggy bank's going to overflow, and so forth. You have to get a bigger piggy bank. But every single day, going in and depositing a coin. People ask all the time, like, how I'm a hard gainer. How do I gain 10 to 15 pounds? It's like, you just got to be patient. You got to do you got to have proper nutrition, of course. Your training has to be dialed in. But after everything else, after you have your base set and built, then it's just about consistency and just day after day, and realizing that you're playing the long game. It may take you a few years. It may take you 10 years to get to where you want to be, or even longer. It's a lifelong thing that you're going to have to continue to work out. But I think that's just so key, man. It's just, no matter how you're feeling, just go in, get a workout in. It doesn't have to be the best workout, but you're just depositing another coin into the bank.
100%. Consistency is key, man. What it is, it's you got to be able to outlast not only everybody else, but yourself.
Oh,
you got to be able to continue to outlast. It's the man who's willing to go the furthest. I talk about all the time, when I climb under the fucking bar to squat weight I've never squatted before, I'm in that moment, I'm willing to break my fucking back. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get that weight up. I'm willing to go the furthest. I'm willing to be the most consistent. And that's why when I walk into a room, I think I'm the best in the room, because I know I've given it 110%. I talked about my Snapchat there. You build confidence knowing you've given 100%, knowing you've outlasted your competition, knowing you were more consistent. If I walk into a room and you've missed, let's say, 3 days of training the last month, and I know I've trained 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day, I'm going to look you right fucking dead in the eyes, and I'm going to rip your soul out. I'm going to know I'm better than you, motherfucker. And that's not saying I'm arrogant or cocky. I just know that I've been dealt with more tough situations. I've been dealt with more adversity, and I've overcome it, and you ain't had the testicular fortitude to overcome it.
Well, the preparation.
So don't fall in that category.
Yeah.
You're either the prey. You're either get eaten or you're fucking eaten.
Damn,
you decide. Do I want to be the fucking gazelle, or do I want to be the lion? You decide every single day. When I wake up in the morning, I look like one of them fucking animals with their eyes wide open, like looking all bug-eyed and shit. When I wake up in the morning, like, boom, I'm looking around like I'm about to fuck some shit up. I wake up with that attitude every single day. I wake up and I'm hype. I'm looking at how can I fucking knock this day out. I look at it. When I talk about the other day on my Instagram, I legit have a chip on my shoulder when I wake up every day. Not only am I consistent, but I'm trying to fucking just, everything I do, I want to totally overkill, annihilate. I want to fucking eat the gazelle, then eat the bones. I want to fuck everything. Like, I just want to totally control my life at a huge level where it's like I wake up every day and I'm in charge. Like, no one's telling me shit that I don't want to do. I'm in charge of this shit. I run my life.
Damn, I'm inspired as fuck right now. Damn.
Dude. Let's go.
The consistency thing, though, I honestly like to go back to that before Zach drops his fucking no bitch ass tip of the show. The consistency is one of the biggest things that has set me apart, I think, because I'll see people come through the gym. They'll go real hard for a few months or even a year, and then they'll fall off. But I'm still there chugging along. I might be the tortoise. I don't have the best genetics. I've never really had that great of genetics or anything like that. But he's
in a magazine.
Day after day. It's because I day after day put in the work. And again, I'll see people come through the gym. I'll see different waves of people. And especially at 5 a.m., you'll see a group come through. They'll be there for a few months or again, even a few years or a year. And then they'll fall off. But me, I'm the tortoise. I'm still there every single day, just grinding away, not doing anything crazy necessarily. Sometimes I have some crazy workouts I decide to put myself through, but mainly it's just the basics day after day after day. And I know that over time, I'm going to get where I want to be. And that's the key.
That's inspirational. That right there is inspirational, knowing, like, I don't know how many times, me and UJ kind of going through the same shit to where it's like we both started out small, weak, and how far we've come just by consistency. People was come to the gym. We started out, people were in front of us. They were already way above us, and we caught them and passed them. People started out after us. They got bigger, stronger, then fell off the map because they weren't consistent. I've seen every scenario in my 11 years, but one thing's always remained the same. Zach Humel's been in that motherfucking bitch 7 days a week. Before I started training 7 days a week 3 years ago, I trained 6 days a week. I've never missed 2 days in a row. Never missed 2 days in a row ever since my first day training. That's motherfucking consistency.
That's
the
legit.
last 3 years, I've trained 7 days a week. On top of all of that, I fell asleep at the wheel. Almost died. Not really almost died, but almost died. I fell asleep at the wheel, hit my car, flipped over like the front ways, came out of the sunroof. The car came on top of me. I went back into the sunroof. I know this because the guy behind me told us the whole story. It was
Damn, I've never heard this story.
So peeled all my hair off the side of my head. My fingers, they still have scars. I'm showing Jay right now. They still have scars on my fingers.
Dang.
Ripped half my fucking skin off my fingers and my hand. Really painful, extremely painful. The next day, guys, so I trained that morning before I went to work. The next day, I was at the gym. I had a makeshift hook, and I was deadlifting with blood. My buddies from back home, Kurt, Buck, John, these guys they can back this story up. There's blood squirting out the tip of my fingers. I was in so much fucking pain, I couldn't even function. But I knew that was building me for today.
I'm envisioning that happening right now.
You just tap into something. They're like, dude, you're fucking nuts. And I'm just like, this is just building me mentally. It's the fact that like I stay awake for how many days can I stay awake to build mental toughness? How many days can I not eat to build mental? That's the kind of thing that builds the mental toughness. You don't build mental toughness by being fucking comfortable. You want to lay in your bed till noon? That's comfortable. That's not being fucking building mental toughness. That's not being comfortable. You're never going to grow. I make myself uncomfortable daily. That's how I grow. That's why I don't sleep that much, because I'm fucking building mental toughness. Maybe it's not the greatest thing to do for muscle recovery, this and third.
From a mental standpoint, I mean, it's fucking huge. I mean,
right, but it's like even guys, there's been so many times I've taken weight that I'm physically not strong enough to take, but I'm so fucking mentally tough. I get it up with mentality. I know that's happened. I remember I squatted 705 in an IPA meet, and I fucking blew it up. I was not strong enough that meet to squat that weight, and it looked like it was 135 in my back. We only tap into 10% of our brain, right? I'm trying to tap into a fucking 100 mentality. So I'm going, first thing I work on is mentality, then I work on my body.
Damn, I'm inspired as fuck. You know what? I think I'm gonna go out and lunge a mile today just because I need a challenge. I've been thinking about that, and people always ask me like, "How do you lunge a mile?" And it's like just waking up and telling yourself you're gonna lunge a mile. So that's a fucking great challenge. I mean, it's not as bad physically at times as lunging like 800 really fast, but mentally it's a challenge. So fuck it, I might go out and do that today. You inspired me to continue to challenge myself on a daily basis.
Let's do this. This is cool. Let's do this for the show, guys. I want everybody who's listening to the show right now to this weekend, because it's FireCast Fridays. Hashtag that shit.
Oh, I like that. I haven't heard that before. That's kind of catchy.
Instagram. Did you not look at the Instagram?
I didn't see it. No.
Shit, come on, man. That's funny. But I challenge everybody to put themselves in a mental state this weekend to do something they're extremely uncomfortable with, and to do something they believe they cannot do. So my no bitch ass tip of the show is to raise your expectations. I want you to start this weekend and test yourself mentally in a way that you've never done before.
Tweet us and let us know what you guys do.
Yeah, tweet us it, Instagram it, whatever you want to do. It'd be better to tweet it though.
I like
this. We'll make a collage up, and we'll kind of highlight it on the next show. Everyone who's tested herself mentally and what you did that was just the rest of the world thought was crazy. Now, I'm not talking about waking up at 4 o'clock, because that's not a fucking big deal. I'm talking about, what did you do? Did you lunge a mile? Or did you squat 315 for as many sets you could do to get to 100 reps? I'm talking crazy shit, guys. It's putting yourself in a mental state that you never thought you would ever be able to get into, but you tapped into. Because I'm telling you, once you tap into it, once you find that fire and you realize you have the mental ability, the mental fortitude, the testicular fortitude to continue to move forward past limits you never knew you had, you're gonna bring it every fucking day.
Dude, things change really, just like we talked about with with defining yourself with the current state. When you break through and you really prove to yourself that I'm not really defined by these limits that I've really
the glass ceiling you set for yourself.
Exactly. So once you break through that, it's like sky's the limit. Everything changes mentally. So it's just that one thing. That could be what changes your life forever.
Your life forever. It could be that one day that you're talking about, the intern guy. that one day could have waited or not been a dick or whatever it was. So it's always about, dude, it's just about literally pushing yourself that next limit, giving yourself that one extra day.
Because you never know what could happen.
You never know. So kind of like my no bitches tip of the day, I guess, goes down to raising your expectations. So Colin Fickles, he always hits me up on Snapchat. I can't say his name. He hit me up and he's like, should I do I'm doing a 3-rep max. Should I do 405 or 425, 435 or 415, 425, 435? I said 450. He looked at me, he's like, oh, you mean try 450? I said, yeah, do 450. I'm raised your expectations. Don't come at me and ask me if you should do this, this, or this. That means you already think you could probably get that. I want you guys to think bigger. Bigger, bigger, bigger. Constantly thinking bigger. He goes, well, what's the difference between knowing if I'm going to get hurt or not? Because I'm not telling you guys to go out there and say, I've squatted 135, so I'm going to go ahead and try 315 today. Like, no, you got to build yourself up to it. But if I know you've already said that you have the ability to potentially do 435 for 3, get your fucking mind right. You can do 450. I'm not impressed unless you do 450.
Yeah, the mentality, man, like we talked about earlier, it's so key, and it's so crazy how much your mentality and the way you approach certain situations affects how they actually turn. I just saw that snap too. Colin, I think that was Colin that you were just talking about. He said,
that is a different Colin. This is Colin Payne. He's sitting there. He's at like a baseball stadium.
No, that's the Florida Gators football stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's pretty sick. But yeah, it's
like, I'm waiting for the FireCast to drop.
I Snapchat him back. I said it's about to drop. But it's crazy how your mentality when you approach certain situations, when you go into something thinking that you're going to absolutely kill it. If you go into a job interview thinking that you're going to absolutely kill it and you're going to walk in there with confidence, everything's going to go well. It seems like that's how it goes. You kind of speak it into reality. But if you go in there really nervous, you think you're going to fuck it up, you're not going to be able to speak correctly, your sentences are all going to be fragmented. That's probably how it's going to go as well because you kind of spoke that into reality. So the whole mentality thing is huge. If you're going into a squat being very confident and telling yourself you're going to do it. And that's something I have been working on myself. And I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'll kind of psych myself out mentally. And that's kind of how I've always been, a very mental person. And sometimes I get in my own way. I think a lot of people get in their own way. And I've been trying to improve on that and really being confident and telling myself I'm going to fucking do this because I'm much more likely to actually do it if I tell myself I'm going to.
He who says he can and he who says he cannot are both usually correct.
Think and grow rich.
Think about that, guys. So, hey, Jay, do we have a few minutes for questions, man?
Let's do it.
How deep are we in the podcast right now?
We're an hour and 7 minutes. Let's answer like two questions.
We're good.
Answer a couple.
We've got an hour and 45-minute podcast.
That's true.
As long as you're providing quality content, the podcast can be 5 minutes or an hour and 50, 3 hours. I mean, Joe Rogan's like 4. Like, he has crazy long podcasts.
Oh, yeah. He has a couple that are 4 hours long.
But he's dropping fire, so it's like as long as there's fire being dropped.
You just get into a flow state, and then shit just gets rolling, so.
That's why we need 2 podcasts a week. Especially once my, 14th freaking cup of coffee kicks in, I fired up.
Me too. It seems like we really built up momentum through the podcast. Like, by the end, it seems like shit really gets rolling, the conversation. Just like a normal conversation when you're with someone at a coffee shop or hanging out with a friend. It takes a little bit of time to really to get shit rolling. And then once you do, though, ideas just get flying.
Diving. Like, that's like that time we went out to eat with me, you, Corey, and there's like 5 or 6 of us eating. Like, dude, we need a podcast right now. There's just so much knowledge being spit at once.
That's going to be Venice Beach for 3 or 4 days straight.
Dude, I'm so excited. Jay Wall on Instagram. What's your favorite music to listen to while you're training, Jay?
Oh, man. I've never really been a big music guy, per se. I've never bought a song on iTunes, which is crazy because most people spend thousands of dollars on iTunes.
I know, right?
I've just been kind of, I really will do whatever. So at old school, you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you get some really hardcore, screamo, headbanger music, which I'm fine with. Sometimes it gets me hyped up, but then other times we got some really OG rap, some like Notorious B.I.G., and then some other times we got some really current rap, and then at times we also have some country. So I can really do whatever. I would say old school rap, if I had to pick one, would be the go.
Nice. Dig it. I dig it. For me, I think most people know if they follow the podcast, I'm a huge MGK fan. I like how he raps about like struggle. I like the struggle. I like hearing it in his voice. You can tell he's real, kind of like a DMX. He's real. But also a little flip side, I do like country. I'm from West Virginia, so I got a little bit of country boy in me. So I like listening to Kip more too. Also, while I'm training, he's kind of like has a raspy voice, and he's good. Really, I can really relate to his music. So that's probably my 2 go-tos at the gym. 3 go-tos. So next one's Cranddaddy. Let me go ahead. Let me get the really in depth on this question because he asked the really real in depth. He says, Since we all know it is important to listen to our bodies, when we sleep the normal 8 hours or a little more once a week, how do you really tell the difference between when you really need that sleep or just being soft?
It's a good question. That's a very good question. And I think it comes down to something we always preach about is self-awareness. And I don't know if you can really teach yourself self-awareness. Gary Vee always talks about this. If you can ever figure out a way to really instill self-awareness into people, then that's a complete game changer. So I think that's something you got to figure out for yourself is how to be self-aware. But that's really what it comes down to is knowing, because at times, I mean, your body's going to lie to you. So you got to be able to really define what it is. I mean, you got to be able to say, hey, this is my body lying to me. I don't actually need to sleep. I'm just being soft. But then you got to know at other times when your body actually is being truthful and you physically do need to sleep, because there are times that you need it and your body's you're gonna get sick or something if you continue to run it down and don't listen to it. So it's a very fine line. That's really hard to define.
Yeah, that's a really fine line. I battle it all the time. I'm always thinking, hey, if I'm not awake 24 hours a day, I think I'm being soft. So it's hard on me. So, anyways, whenever I'm going about it, I do sleep. I talked about it a little bit on the FireCast before. I might get one, sometimes 2 times a week. I might sleep 8 hours to 10 hours. But usually, how it all winds out is probably like once or twice a month, and maybe just like more times 1 month if I feel like I'm getting sick. So I'm really in tune with my body. I talked about the other day. I'm in charge. I run this shit. So when I listen, I'm constantly, thinking to myself, like right now, I know I'm dehydrated. I'm drinking so much coffee this morning. So it's like I'm super self-aware. I'm very in tune with my body. So I know, like in the morning, you're always just starting to think, oh, I need to sleep more because you don't have that mental state. To where I'm in the morning when I wake up, I'm like, I have to get up. I'm not sick. I'm not tired. I have to get up. And if I get up, and I'll get up every day around 4 o'clock. So I'll get up. Maybe I'm working. I'm running around. I'm like, hey, I'm run down. That's when I tell. When I've already been awake and I'm still like an hour in and the coffee didn't do it for me and I'm still run down, I'm still beat. I might run it for a little bit longer, and if I'm still tired, I might take a couple hour nap that day.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I've been, and it's something that Zach and I were talking about yesterday. The last like 3 years, I've been dealing with some sort of like chronic fatigue, to where no matter how much sleep I get, it seems like I'm just toasted. So that's something that I battle with. It's like I feel like I physically need to sleep at times to try to figure out if I can get more energy, but then it's like mentally, it's kind of counterproductive because it wears me down mentally because I'm hard on myself. Like, shit, I shouldn't have been sleeping. I should have been doing this and that. So it kind of it's a fine line balancing back and forth. It's very, very interesting, and it's a constant. I think it's a constant battle, and it's something that you're going to be trying to constantly figure out over your life. It's never going to be black and white to where you get to the point where like, okay, now I know exactly when I need to sleep and when I need to take rest days. It's just never going to be that black and white.
Absolutely. This is kind of how I like to preach it, like my grind, my hustle. Like I was up yesterday 3:15, 3:30, whatever, and I left the gym at like 10:30. I met with Tyler. We did some video work. We did some planning, some content planning, and so it just happens that I worked all day from home, went back to the gym, trained again, and then did some content work. And when I got back home, I knew I was pretty tired, and I didn't know how I was gonna feel in the morning. I woke up early instead. Felt pretty good. I feel pretty good now, so I know that I'll probably be good today, but I've ran myself real dry this week. Not much sleep. So I talk to guys. I tell guys, like, don't worry about sleep as much. I'm trying to explain to guys, like, everyone, for the most part, guys, just think about it. The majority of people in the world are sleeping 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hours almost every single night. What I'm trying to say is you don't need it every single day. And I'm not trained. I'm not doing it. I'm not staying awake 20 hours a day every day, day in, day out, day in, day out. I do fall into the realm where I do get that 8 hours of sleep every once in a while, 10 hours of sleep. What I'm trying to say is if you're sleeping 8 hours every single day and you're fucking around, you're 30 to 35 and under, dude, you don't need it. And the reason I say 30, 35 and under is because once you get over that, like your testosterone levels, shit starts happening for men. So different scenarios.
And I think it also comes down to knowing what you want out of life and what you want to achieve. I mean, if you're already where you want to be and you're living the life that you want to live, then fine, you can sleep. You know
4-day
what I mean?
work week, bro. How cool would that be?
Exactly. So it all comes down to being self-aware enough to know exactly what you want. I mean, if someone doesn't aspire to be a multi-millionaire, billionaire, then it may not be necessary. So I think that's also very key is knowing what you want and knowing what it's going to take to achieve what you want. That's really what it comes down to, because everyone's so much different. Everyone has such different aspirations. That's a huge key, I think.
Yeah, that's like me. I'm such a conflict of interest. I guess everything I do is
You're a contrarian.
Yeah, I guess that's a good word to use. That's a good word, Jay. So basically what I'm saying is like you do need, if you want to get bigger or whatever, you do need rest to recover. That makes sense. But in the same sense, like I talk so much about mentality. I'm so mental tough. Right. I think I could have a little bit better physique if I did sleep a little bit more and if I hone in on my nutrition a little bit more, which I am now for the shoot, obviously. But I think I could even look even better if I did do that. But it doesn't work for my other life. My other life being that I'm trying to impact the world, I'm trying to make money, I'm trying to open businesses. They don't mix. It's like the two opposite spectrums. So I do think you need rest to recover. For if you're a bodybuilder and shit, bodybuilders eat, train, take nap, eat, train, take. I mean, they're constantly sleeping. So I understand that, but in the same sense, it just doesn't fit for me.
So it's all about the self-awareness and knowing what you want and what you want to achieve.
Yep, knowing yourself.
And don't be so black and white with it. I think that's huge, man. I preach that all the time. Is nothing's black and white.
Agreed. So, hey Jay, what's your favorite cheat meal?
Oh man, I love me some. I love me some food.
Gosh, this is gonna be like, holy cow.
Man, well, let's start with this. The favorite Carb Life meal that I had made over the past 3 months would probably have to be the peanut butter and jelly Krispy Kreme sandwich. So it was a glazed Krispy Kreme donut cut in half with a boatload of peanut butter and grape jelly. I think is what it was in the middle. But if I'm going with like just a standard meal, I think the number one thing I would have to pick would be pizza. I've always loved pizza. Pepperoni pizza, just plain as fuck, from a local joint. And I would say that would be probably the number one. And that's also something I don't get very often. Even during my Carb Life meals, I really wasn't doing any pizza just because it seemed like pizza was the one thing I couldn't eat and still maintain a low body fat. It just seems to be, it's strange. I think it's all the sodium, the cheese, the bread all together. It's just a recipe for disaster. So I think that's another reason why that would be number one, just because that's something I don't usually eat. I eat sugar all the time when I'm doing Carb Life, but the pizza is something I kind of deprive myself of. So pizza's number one.
I would say mine would be this local joint back where I'm from. Anyone from the Ohio Valley probably heard of Drover's Inn. It's a wing place. And dude, there's just the wings, I can't even describe them. They're the best wings I've ever ate in my entire life.
Just sexual.
Dude, they're amazing, man. So I'm not sure, but I know it's not. I've heard they're like 200 calories per wing. I don't know.
Fuck it. Who cares?
I know they're good. They're great. So that's probably my favorite cheat meal. Moving on. I guess I'll answer this question. TravFit. Or no, sorry, that was the next one. That was a change. TravFit says, can you teach being an entrepreneur?
Good question. Again, it's not very black and white. I think it's kind of the nature versus nurture thing. I think your environment plays a huge role in who you're around. For me, for example, being around Corey at such a young age, being introduced into the opportunities that are out there and realizing what I could actually do, that really opened up my eyes. And seeing that he didn't go to college and have all the degrees and stuff and was still running a multi-million-dollar company at that point when we worked at Muscle Farm, or when I worked at Muscle Farm, he was running the fucking company or one of the executives. So it really opened up my eyes. So I think it's partially exposure. And then also I think there may be something innate in your genetics and what you're created or what you're made of, the ingredients that you're made of. I think that kind of plays a role in that as well. I think there's something there. There's a certain ability, because a lot of entrepreneurs across the board have a lot of the same attributes. You know what I mean? So I think there are certain things bred into you, but it also depends on your environment. It's the whole nature versus nurture argument. It could go around and around and around a million times.
Yeah, I think you have to have the DNA for it to kind of like, you have to have that drive and that independence, I guess you could say, because, being an entrepreneur, it's very lonely. Very lonely. Like, because a lot of people the vast majority of the world just don't understand you. That's why you got to like kind of connect and like cling to people like Jay and I cling to each other, and Corey and other people who want to be, entrepreneurs. So that's something to think about, kind of maybe DNA a little bit. Another thing to think about is putting yourself around the right people who are entrepreneurs and thinking like, hey, I'd like to live this life. I've seen the ups, I see the downs. It's kind of why I have the podcast too. We're explaining the ups and downs. And once you hear about, because every entrepreneur is like a word that's super romantic. It's like, oh, I get to travel the world and make a bunch of money. That's kind of how people perceive it as. So once you actually know the ups and the downs, like what's like, oh, okay, here's the downs of it, and I still want to do it. Yeah, you might be able to learn how to be an entrepreneur in a sense if you already had it in you.
Yeah, and I think Gary Vee, something he says is if you're able to work a normal job for more than like a month without just going absolutely batshit crazy, that's when you know that you're probably not an entrepreneur. I mean, if you're able to do that at all, and even for me when I was working at Muscle Farm, it was the fucking hookup. It was one of the best jobs ever. I mean, I sat there and I watched. I had my MacBook given to me by the company, plugged into my big screen TV given me by the company, sitting in a recliner chair, tweeting people. But even then, I was still had a set hours. I had to be in the office from this time to that time, and I was only getting a steady certain amount of money each month. There was no incentive for me to push harder and do more work. So even though I was in an awesome environment, had one of the best jobs you could ever have, I still wasn't satisfied. And I knew that really wasn't for me, being an employee, even though it wasn't technically really an employee environment. Corey really raised us to be, all of us were kind of our own entrepreneurs. We each had our own social media page. I ran the Combat Crunch page and in one of the sample pages. So I was able to basically apply my own ideas to the social media a little bit and do things like that. So it's kind of an entrepreneurial environment, but then again, I was still an employee with set hours and a set schedule and a set pay and everything like that. And I couldn't do it. I mean, I really couldn't. I eventually, even if the whole shakeup didn't happen, I would have left at some point just because that's not for me.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's like how you said it up with the money thing. Being an entrepreneur, you might not make money for 6 months, but then you might make fucking $50,000. You know, it depends on what you're doing. Kind of like real estate that you're in. You don't make money until you sell a house. So it's like, if you're willing to be able to not only budget your money correctly, especially in the beginning, because you never know kind of when you're getting paid, but if you have that drive, if you're a hustler, you might be an entrepreneur. If you're like a hustler at work and you like to work hard, you could possibly be have a good chance of being a successful entrepreneur because you're willing to apply that hustle to make yourself more money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's key. There's a lot of ingredients in it, but again, it all comes back down to being self-aware and really knowing if it's for you or not.
Absolutely. The next question from Brico, he says, why do you use chains? What's the benefit in chains compared to raw weight? So basically when you're coming down, this thing about every link gets lighter and lighter as you're coming down. As you start to press, the chains come off the floor. Each link, the weight gets heavier and heavier towards the top. So it's going to help your lockout. That's why I use chains compared to raw weight. I need more work on my lockout strength. About halfway up, I'm getting stuck around I've taken 485 and missed it halfway up. I almost like I take 500 and missed it halfway up. So I just know that I need to work more on the top end. So that's why I'm using chains so much. And I have to use them on my dynamic day too, pushing fast.
What's the benefit of the chains over the bands?
So the bands, it's a little bit more like, it's a whole entire different feel. Mm-hmm. So when you're using bands, it's actually speeding you up on the way down. The bands are pulling you down to where the chains, it's just a whole entire different feel. And the tension is different too as you're coming up. I like to think that you have to be a little bit more stable, compact when you're using chains, because the chains kind of like want to move you around, but so do the bands. But once you throw some weight on the bar,
it kind of even out.
It kind of evens out. I still use bands too. I think there's more tension to me at the top, even if I have like a shit ton of chain weight. There's more tension with the bands. So I don't know. It's like it's a catch, I guess. I don't prefer one over the other. Mm-hmm. I like to use them both. I think they're both very beneficial.
Gotcha.
So the next question, Kyle, he's always asking questions. He's a young kid. Jay mentors him, and this kid straight up just asks questions.
He does.
He wants answers, and it's admirable. The kid, he's doing what he has to do. I dig it. What's 5 tips you would tell the younger Jay?
Oh man, 5. Let's start out with just a couple. 5's a lot. Yeah. I would tell myself to really surround myself with like-minded people, which I was able to do at a young age. Kind of, sort of, with being around Corey and the 5 a.m. crew. So that really helped me. Like we talk about all the time, though, man, I wouldn't really change anything, to be honest. That's a really boring and bland answer, but everything that I've done up until this point, I've learned from.
We're like brothers. We have the same answer. we need you for co-host.
Yeah, we do. We need a third guy in here. Who wants to hop in? Yeah, so it's like, honestly, everything I've gone through, everything that I've experienced for good or bad, I've learned from, and that's led me to what I am today. But I would say for young guys, really seeking out mentors, that's really big. And most people, though, the problem is when you're young, you don't really know what you want to do. So it's hard to seek out a specific mentor. Say you want to do something in fitness, you seek out someone in fitness. But when you're young, you really don't know exactly what you want to do. And it seems like Kyle has a really good idea that he wants to do something in fitness. So he has the advantage of being Zach showed me his empty coffee cup. He drank like 6 cups already. He drained it.
I'm fucking sad, guys. I'm stressing.
So the mentorship is big. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people, which kind of goes hand in hand. And then just really budgeting your time. Like we've talked about before, when you're young, you want to take advantage of that, and you're never going to live high school days or college days again. It's only a one-time thing, so you gotta enjoy it and basically know when to really kind of enjoy yourself, and also when to really apply yourself towards what you're trying to do. So that's a really tough question for me. Again, I don't really think about that too much. I wouldn't change a whole lot. So
you don't spend time thinking about the past, Jay. You're too like, hey, that's already happened. It's whatever. It's molded me to who I am today. Now I got to work on the future.
That's something I'm working on, because I have been someone in the past that thinks about the past. It's kind of a weird way to put it, but that's something I've been.
I like that.
I'm really trying to ingrain in myself and trying to work on, because again, I'm not perfect and I'm always working on different things every day and every week and all the time. And that's just one of the things, is not really festering on the past. That's the past. Only thing that matters is what happens from today on. So that's, again, something I really need to continue to work on myself.
Absolutely. So I kind of relate to the same, reiterate kind of what you said. Everything that's happened in my life has happened for a reason. So I don't regret nothing. I don't wish, something had happened different. But if I did go back in time and be like, Zach, do this, it would slingshot you more in the future. Because I can't say, like, if I didn't work in the coal mines, guys, I might not have the work ethic I did. If my dad didn't make me work when I was 13 and my dad had a different way of raising me than I think most parents do. But you know what? It worked for me. It's made me the man I am. So I don't regret it, and I wouldn't want to change really anything as far as that goes. But if I should have told myself, probably something I would do, because I know I wouldn't do it if I went back in time and told myself. So it's kind of hard, but I would tell myself you should probably read a little bit more. And you should read a little bit more. And I would also say listen more than you speak. Like you said, kind of like ask questions kind of thing, to where I like to talk. I'm a talker. So I feel like if I would maybe step back and listen more, because now I do a lot more listening, that'd be huge. Continue to be self-aware. I was pretty self-aware when I was a younger guy. I didn't listen to the haters. I knew what I was worth, kind of thing. But my main thing would be to read and to listen. I have two things I'd probably tell myself. And I know if I did go back in time, I wouldn't do it. I know I wouldn't. There's no way if I had a time machine and went back, myself would be like, yeah, fuck you. I'll be all right. Look, you're fine right now. I'll be all right. So everything kind of happens the way it's supposed to happen.
I like the listening thing. That's something, again, that I really try to work on myself. I'm self-aware to know that sometimes I talk more than I listen, and you learn way more when you're actually listening. I think you learn as well while you're talking, because some of the things that are in your subconscious mind kind of ooze out, and you kind of, you know what I mean? You kind of get an insight into how your mind works, and things that you don't actually think about, they just kind of ooze out while you talk. But the whole listening thing, though, is key. And I think for a lot of people, especially in person, when you're with someone else, I think it's kind of like a nervous thing, as to where you just start talking. You know what I mean? Instead of just listening to what the other people have to say, you start talking, and you don't want the other person to think that you don't have anything to say. So you just start talking for no reason. So that's, again, something that I'm always trying to improve on.
Put it this way, though, guys. If I'm around you and I'm talking like crazy, I've already given you a chance to talk, and you're not providing no value to me, I'm like, well, let me provide some value.
That's it. Yep.
So that's a little bit of ego and arrogance, maybe, or confidence, however you want to look at it. But that's kind of the way I go about it. Here's another good question, Jay. I like this one. Ryan McAlee. You need to start reading the names, because you're better at pronouncing these last names than I am. You and Jay have very different builds. Are your guys' training tactics crash, or are there a lot of similarities?
Well, I mean, we both are going for something completely different. So they definitely are way different. I mean, you're training to be one of the strongest dudes in the world, the strongest dude in the world. You're already one of the strongest people in the world. So that's a lot different than my type of training, to where for me, like 7, 8, 9 months out of the year, I'm training for physique and a lot of bodybuilding stuff. I'll go through short phases where I'm training a lot of power stuff. For example, after the shoot, I'm going to start gearing towards the lifting meet in December, and I'm going to get some ideas from Zach on how to really program my training towards that. But for me, it's mostly bodybuilding. I'm really trying to achieve one of the greatest physiques ever. So that's going to be a lot different than what Zach's type of training is, where he's hitting a lot of accessory stuff and so forth, to where, and also like the rep scheme too. I mean, I'm sure you do a lot lower. I'm sure you mess around with higher rep scheme too, but it's a lot of lower heavy shit. To whereas with me, for the most part, it's a lot higher volume, but I'll also do sense of shorter volume. So they definitely cross over in certain areas, but for the most part, they're definitely different in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, at the end of the day, we definitely train a lot different overall, but I think we still have a few of the same bases. Like Jay still squats, he still deadlifts, he still bench presses, so that's kind of similar. Everyone should have that foundation of the big three. It's huge. You need the squat, bench, and deadlift. It's going to build a big lower back, big upper back, the deadlift, squat, big legs, big quads.
Like we talked about, man, like people, not to interrupt you, but bodybuilders that don't do any of the core stuff and all they do is focus on the light stuff, you can tell. So like I said, I definitely cross over and I make sure I do the heavy stuff too, but my main emphasis is on the bodybuilding type stuff, but you have to be able to do both.
Yeah, you have a good foundation. You know, you're building your foundation. So anyone who's just starting, know that. Like, you need to build that foundation throughout the big three, the big, I call them the core lifts, bench, squat, and deadlift. Because you can lunge 68,000 miles this week, and your legs are going to be as big as the guy who squats 700.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You gotta move weight to get, you gotta, if you want to be big, like, look at Ronnie Coleman. Just the best. Look at the best. Arnold Schwarzenegger. These guys are powerlifters. These guys train heavy. So you still need that strength training in you. But yeah, our training, philosophies, I guess you could say, or training tactics are a little bit different. But at the end of the day, when we get together, how we do it is I take Jay through an exercise. He takes me through an exercise. So we're learning from each other. He's like, Zach, try this. We've both been involved in the gym so long, and we're never trying to say, I know more than you, you know more than me. It's kind of like, oh, hey, we do it like a little bit different. Every gym has like a niche. Like, you guys like to do those behind the head pull over things.
That's what I was about to say. Last time I was there, man, you were showing me certain things like on pull downs, like to where the positioning is a little bit different. I felt it in a whole different area. And then on the pull overs, I was showing you stuff you hadn't done before. So there's always ways to learn. And I think that's a key too, is never letting your ego get in the way and always be willing to learn from others.
Yeah, keep your ego at the door. I tell guys that all the time. When you walk in my gym, your ego stays out there and your expectations rise.
Boom.
It has to. Leave your ego at the door. I don't
fucking knowledge bomb. Look at that.
Dude, so many bombs going down here. Could you describe the leverages? Says this question, Dylan Spine says, can you describe the leverages of the big three? Thanks, guys. Keep the fire coming. So this is like such an in-depth question, guys. It'd take me 3 hours to describe the leverages. But first, it comes with understanding your body and then applying the right accessory work for it. This is going to be on my website, ZachHomolPower.com. Drop it in 3 weeks. I would definitely be explaining leverages. It's an ongoing topic that we'll be talking about on there for years to come, learning leverages. So there's the answer to that question.
That site's going to be fire. I'm hyped. Dude, I'm going to be one of the first members to sign up for that. Because like I said, a lot of the strength stuff, you have so much more knowledge that there's so much that I can learn. So, I'm going to be on the site ASAP.
Dude, yeah, it's even if we're buddies, it's like I can tell you things, this, that, and third, but there's going to be so many things that I wouldn't be able to tell you that's going to be on the site. And it's going to be awesome. Dude. I'm super excited to have the site and just be able to impact that many more people. And just for people to actually be able to showcase my knowledge. Because I can talk, through the podcast and stuff, but when people ask me questions, I feel like I actually don't always give in-depth answers unless I'm in person, because the answers are so complex and I go so deep. Not only the science, because I'm not very sciencey or whatever, but it comes down to science and learning leverages and knowing your body. And I'll tell you every accessory movement you got to do and why you're failing and what you got to do to correct it and what you got to do here and how you got to eat. The fucking answer just goes so big. It's so much stuff. And, actually your hamstrings are weak, but you also need to do this for the glutes and this movement. So it gets so deep. So I'm just excited to showcase.
I don't think people realize the level of knowledge that you have, because I don't think I ever even realized it until I got around you. It's absolutely humbling and mind-blowing and very inspiring and motivating. It's really pushed me over the last month to continue to elevate my knowledge, just in regards to bodybuilding type stuff. I'm trying to learn more about the strength stuff, but even movements that are just bodybuilding specifically, there's always ways to tweak your form to get more out of the muscle, to be able to engage the muscle more and make it grow more. So it's really pushed me to continue to learn more and more, and it's going to be an ongoing process my whole life, always learning more.
For sure. Same as me, I'll always be searching, for more knowledge. The same thing, Corey's been working out for 20-some years. He's like, dude, he was telling me, your shit, man. You can tell you're applying. And that's really humbling to know one of the best guys in the industry still looks to me to give advice too. So it's really cool to know that, I put forth, there's a reason why, when I was training 10, 11, 12 hours at the gym, just watching people work out and watching how the body moves, it wasn't wasted time. I'm applying that knowledge now. So it's super cool. It's super humbling. And I'm just excited to share it. It's going to be so cool. Have everyone involved, open Q&A on the site so everyone's going to be able to talk. Different programming, like I said, vlogs, motivation, learning how to lift. Not only am I teach you guys just the basics, I see some of you guys doing seated rows wrong, pull downs wrong. I'm talking the smallest things you guys might think you're doing right. And I'm going to teach you how to do holy shit, that's way better than the way I'm doing it.
It makes all the difference.
Makes all someone not only show you that, but I'm gonna teach you specialty movements that you never even thought of before. Like I have so much shit up my sleeve right now. Like you're the guys on my program, you know, like holy cow, what the hell is tricep part ways or kick ups from the floor? Like what's all these different movements we're doing and how much stronger they've gotten. That's why my guys, just for instance, Jason, he's seen a high school kid I trained, 75 pounds on his total this month.
And he was already strong as fuck too before. I mean,
he's a strong kid. So and he's in high school already fucking in the high fours squat. And he had his 35 pounds of his squat, 75 pounds of his total this month. Like, dude, when I say the proof's in the pudding, like Jay shows his guys getting six packs, I show my guys getting numbers. So you guys, if you're looking to get a shredded, you got your man right across from me here, Jay _Azeltine. If you're looking to get strong, you got me. So it's just such a cool dynamic, man. Like,
that's why we work so well together, because we don't really steal each other's business. We really feed off of each other, and that's the coolest thing.
Oh, for sure. Like, dude, Jay pushes business to me, like Jason, and I push business to Jay. Like,
yeah, exactly. I'm training a girl that works with Zach at the gym from time to time, and I have clients that sometimes will talk about really going all in on the strength stuff, and I'm like, well, Zach's your dude. I mean, I can help you a little bit, but it's not going to be nearly what you get from Zach. So it's just like letting the ego go and allowing the basically to push people to you, because I know they're going to get more out of it. So doing what's best for them, you know what I mean?
Doing what's best for them. That's exactly, that comes down to letting your ego go aside and not living for, like, at the end of the day, it's not how much money you made, it's how you made your money, right? So would you feel good about knowing, like, I wouldn't feel good about knowing if I had someone on a diet and they're trying to lean up and get ready for a show or a shoot, and I was doing their dieting and I didn't get them dialed in the way I wanted to, because I'm just not as fully educated as Jay on it. So I'm going to push that client to Jay. Like, hey, you need to see Jay. I'm just not 100% on it. I've done that time and time again. I've offered, you know, I can do this, but I'm not your guy. Here's your guy. If you want to get strong, I'm your guy. So it's really cool to keep your ego at the door. That really goes, we're actually taking money out of our pockets and willing to do it to help that client out to get the most out of it. That's what that's when you truly care.
Yep, and that's why we work. Again, that is a fucking knowledge bomb I've ever heard on, and that's why we work so well together, though.
Absolutely, dude. The podcast is great today. We're thinking about sometime next week. We've been contemplating it. Are we going to, start doing 2 a week? We don't know. We're still thinking about Jay throwing punches at the camera.
I'm getting hyped, bro. This podcast got me fired up.
Dude, I don't want to get off it. I'm so hyped.
So a couple of things before, what were you about to drop? I was going to say.
Go ahead.
Good? Okay. So as always, we appreciate everyone listening. We want to continue to build up the reviews on iTunes, which is what pushes you up the ratings and the charts. So if you guys do like the podcast and you listen on iTunes, it's kind of hard to get to, I think, but there's a way to go on there and do the reviews. And just go to the show, and there should be a spot for reviews. You click there, and it'll give you 1 through 5 star. Give it a 5 star, and give us a review. And then also subscribe, of course, to the YouTube page. Zach and I are going to continue to push out content on the YouTube page. We did a couple workouts. We did a lunge show that's on there, so there'll be
super fire. That lunge show was fire, man. So definitely after the podcast, swing over, check out the lunge show, and like I said, subscribe, like Jay said on that. It really just helps us out. Like if you guys feel like you're getting quality content from us, please just give us 5 minutes out of your time. We're giving you an hour and a half to give back to us as we're giving back to you.
If that. And Zach, what's your social media handles?
ZachHomolPower.com for my YouTube or for my website, which I want you guys to swing over and sign up for the newsletter right now. Then I got Zach Homol Power for Instagram, Zach Homol Power Twitter, and Zach Homol for Snapchat.
Gotcha.
That's what I got going.
All right. JAY_Azeltine, of course, which Zach absolutely loves on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram.
It's not, you don't spell it. It's the actual underscore, so you guys know.
Yes, correct. And then on YouTube, I've really been trying to put out more content on YouTube. And as the prep continues, like I said, we're about 4 weeks away from the shoot now. I want to continue to put more stuff on the YouTube, full workouts on there and so forth. I got to find a quality video guy, so that's something I've been working on as well, just like Zach, seeking out somebody. And other than that, though, we're having a blast. Let's keep the questions coming. Until next time, stay young, stay hungry. We'll be back for episode 9 either early next week or next Friday, so stay tuned.
Oh, we might be doing it next week, guys. Keep a lookout.
Peace, Zach. Later.